HRN listeners. As we celebrate our 15th year, we are deepening our commitment to giving voice to the next generation of food systems storytellers, and we need your help. Our internship and fellowship programs help activate new possibilities for underrepresented and underestimated young people through experiential journalism, audio engineering, and production training. Through these unique programs, HRN helps food equity stewards build essential workforce readiness skills that expand their potential and foster economic mobility. Please consider supporting these critical programs. And with a minimum donation, you can be entered to win a dinner for two at an amazing restaurant in one of 8 cities and tickets to a concert at a great venue in one of those cities. We have incredible partners across the country who have donated, as they also share our passion for helping to educate the next generation of food systems storytellers. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. And make sure you donate before March 31st. Thank you.
Today's program has been brought to you by the International Culinary Center, offering courses that range from classic French techniques in culinary, pastry, and bread baking to Italian studies to management, from culinary technology to food writing, from cake making to wine tasting. For more information, visit internationalculinarycenter.com.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network, broadcasting live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. If you like this program, visit heritageradionetwork.org for thousands more.
All right. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Heritage Radio Network. We are coming to you live from the back of Roberta's Pizza, a lovely, sunny, cool day in Bushwick, Brooklyn. You are tuned in to the Farm Report. I'm your host, Erin Fairbanks, and today we're joined by some special guests here in studio. John Karangis, Executive Chef of Union Square Events, and Andrea Cascun of Cascun Farms. Welcome to Bushwick and welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
So we are going to talk about an interesting kind of compost relationship between you, John, who are producing foods for Union Square Events, and Andrea up at the farm. But before we tuck into that, I want to give our listeners a little sense of your background. So, Andrea, how did you come to farming?
My husband and I started about 2.5 years ago, really wanting to bring back the feeling of what food used to be. My husband comes from Europe, and just the way they raise things is completely different than the conventional ways that things are raised here. So we moved upstate and wanted to give our children a better life around the farming, knowing what they're eating, and just started with chickens. And we've been really happy doing what we're doing ever since.
That's great. So your farm is around 125 acres, is that right?
It's 125 acres, and we are about 4 hours north of the city.
Excellent. And now, was I correct? You guys have an on-site abattoir?
We do. Currently, we have a New York State inspected processing facility right on our farm. That was something very important to us. We wanted to maintain the control of the quality of our birds from the day they get to our farm, which is when they're 1 day old, straight through the process. And we actually do our deliveries ourselves too. So we really have quality control right through the entire process.
And you're working with chickens, ducks, rabbits, geese, turkeys.
Yep, we can process all of those.
All of those.
We also do raise hogs on our property and some beef as well.
Nice. There's like lots going on
yes.
there. And John, now you are not new to the Union Square Hospitality family. You actually kind of got your start with them, is that right?
Correct. After college, I had an opportunity to interview with Michael Romano, who's the executive chef of Union Square Cafe, and I accepted a entry-level position in the kitchen. I was 19 at the time, and didn't know much about a lot of things at that time, especially cooking, although I had just recently come back from a stage in Paris. So I didn't know it at the time, but I started to feel this sort of this bug catching on to me, and this enjoyment of fine dining and cuisine and the world that was ahead of me. So I spent about 2.5 very formidable years there, working very closely with Chef Michael Romano and, of course, Danny Meyer. At the time, it was the lone restaurant in the group, and it was a world to me that I never knew I could have imagined, because the care and love that went into the food, the service, the team, was this overwhelming belief that one could really feel special, not only dining there but working there. So it was a very, very enjoyable time in my life, and about 2+ years ago, I had the opportunity to rejoin. Although I feel like in many ways I'd never left when I went on to do different things, because that hospitality was ingrained in me at a very young age, and sort of set the path for me in between, and now where I am today, and sort of leads us to this collaboration with Cascun Farms.
Well, so I want to get a sense, Union Square events, you guys do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And, in volume. I mean, can you talk a little bit about how your operation is different than, the restaurant at, Gramercy Tavern or Union Square Cafe, just with kind of sheer sense of production?
Sure.
And as a chef, obviously coming in and running a restaurant kitchen is kind of a totally different animal than running the type of shop that you're working on now. So, I'm wondering, where you kind of got the training to essentially scale up the production, and what challenges that presents with regards to, I think in particular to sourcing and the, sheer, I just want to get a sense of how much stuff is coming through your space.
Well, it's a great question. But what I'd like to do, in having my foundation based out of restaurants, is really look at what we do as a restaurant, because our number one objective is to be able to continually provide fine dining like food and service in whichever setting we go to, and really use the restaurants and our training as sort of the bar. So we, are often called a caterer, and we are a caterer, in fact. But
I wasn't sure if that was a dirty word. I'm like,
no,
can I use the C word?
No, it's a great word, and
okay.
It's a word that we have a privilege and an opportunity to provide a service, and a lot of us in the kitchen are from Union Square Hospitality Group restaurants, and yet the only difference is that we sometimes serve food that's outside the walls of our kitchen and a restaurant, but yet all of our goals of providing a wonderful experience are still there. Excuse me. In terms of quantity of products that we provide, we, being the event service business, like you said, a wide variety of things going on, and so we'll do anything from an intimate gathering in someone's residence to multiple thousand gallery events served off-site. And so we could, purchase one chicken for 2 guests, or we could, purchase thousands, and that's in fact what we do. Again, with the goal of taking building a relationship with a farmer or supplier, one that's done very thoughtfully and in collaboration, and beyond purchasing those items, and then of course preparing those items, and then executing it and providing the right technique and seasoning and flavor and all the things you find in a restaurant,
right,
in a larger scale.
Yeah, so this, in some ways, in addition to being a chef, you're also kind of in the logistics game.
Correct.
So, Andrea, a lot of farmers want to connect with the Union Square Hospitality Group. How did you guys meet? How did that relationship start?
Well, for us being out of the city, it was difficult in the beginning to connect with chefs and different people. So we use a web-based website called Farmers Web, and we work with Aaron and Dave from there, and they were able to make the contacts for us. We have all of our products listed on the website, so any chef or person, we also have some private schools, can go on and look and see what we have or any other farmer has at any given time. So I know Aaron had some contacts with Union Square Events, and they were interested in our chicken, and we were able to set up a time to meet. My husband does the deliveries, so he met with them, and we just had that connection back in April, and it seemed like a perfect fit right from the get-go. I mean, a lot of what they were looking for was right up our alley as far as the care that they give to their food, like John was just saying, is exactly what we do to our chicken. And having somebody that appreciates the care that goes into what we're doing is really important to us as a farmer. So it was a perfect fit right from the get-go.
Nice. So how many chickens are coming off the property?
Well, I have last year's statistics I can give you. I mean, last summer we raised about 7,000 chickens. And, we changed some of the things we were doing. So we started out only doing whole birds, and then we were able to, with our license, cut the birds down further into breast, legs, thighs, backs. So that had really opened up a lot of market for us. And so on a given week, there's anywhere between 300 and 500 chickens, and then we have different parts that are coming off also.
Nice. So, John, when you got connected with Cascun Farms, were they one of many farms that you were looking at? And, are they kind of part of a variety of relationships that you have? Or what was it about them that you're like, these guys are the ones for us to connect with?
Well, we continually look for, fostering relationships with people like Don and Andrea Cascun. And this was actually introduced to us through our purchaser, James Murphy, who basically led them through Aaron at, like Andrea said, at Farmers Web. So bringing them on for an initial meeting and tour of our facility, it sort of sparked this need to move forward with this. And we have the luxury of space in a large-scale facility in which we operate as our commissary, which also happens to be an event space. So it sort of simply was able to work really well from the start without seemingly having to do too much, other than really to connect as a sort of one-on-one, because we could sort of feel that it just felt right.
Yeah, good vibes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, we are going to talk a little bit today about food waste. I know here in New York City that food and food byproducts make up about 35% of the waste stream. Most of that's getting carted outside the city into landfills, costing the city somewhere around, I think, $85 million a year. Really kind of insane numbers, and an insane amount of food is heading into the landfill versus other resources. So I'm wondering what sparked your interest in looking at an alternative, and if you can explain for folks who might not be familiar, trash pickup for an organization like yours, is it any different than a household or, a renter like me, from a cost or from a responsibility perspective, if that makes sense?
Sure. Well, any sort of removal is a service, and services are something that we all need to pay for. But in large part, we were looking to do something not necessarily to lower a cost on a removal of a product, but it was more of what can we do, what can we benefit from, and having someone else benefit from. And we were in talks for a long time, which seemed like a long time, for a couple of months, of how we were going to be able to use this pulp that we were producing on a daily basis and sort of give that back. And, and that all happened around the same time that we met with Don and Andrea. So we had asked if this was something they'd be interested in. It's a very clean product that we're able to provide them with, which nourishes the animals that they feed. And so it's pretty wonderful and special, and something we feel really proud about and look to continue doing and even growing from there.
So you're talking about the pulp from...
Talking about the pulp that we generate from our production for our creative juice line that we under the Union Square Events umbrella, we are the provider for all the creative juice outlets where we actually make the juices in our same facility, and from that we have a lot of pulp, and in that pulp there are specific recipes. So it's pretty interesting that we're able to have our pulp separated for the benefit of Don and Andrea to be able to see what they want to feed who. And so it's pretty special.
Yeah, and I know it's always gives me anxiety when I make juice at home and I scraping out the juicer. I'm all this stuff, there should be a use for it. So, Andrea, tell us, I'm curious, the chickens like pulp? I mean, was that something you knew? Is that like something that you've read about other folks doing? Or, I mean, how did you know that that was like going to be a fit?
Well, I mean, I think what really happened was when my husband was going down there and we all started talking. We had just got some pigs onto our farm, and so originally we were thinking, okay, we're going to bring this back for the pigs because pigs will pretty much eat anything, and it's definitely a lot healthier than commercial feed for them. So being that we had so many chickens, we're like, okay, we can feed some of this to the chickens, and chickens also will eat a lot of things, and people don't really realize they're really not that picky either. I think more for us, it was kind of exciting because it's like, okay, wow, now we can kind of pick from a menu for our, for the pigs and the chickens and see, there was some concerns because we have not done this. We don't want a certain flavor to get imparted into chickens, and we don't. So, it was kind of, having the luxury of looking at this and saying, okay, chickens will eat this, this, and this. And some of it was trial and error. If you put a whole bucket full of something and they're picking through it and they're only eating this and everything gets left, it's like, okay, scrape it back up, that goes to the hogs. So it was a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, but very quickly with the pigs we realized that the almond meal is their absolute favorites by far. The avocado pits, that was kind of something that was neat. We didn't realize that they would actually eat the pits and the skin of the avocados.
Wait, the chickens or the pigs?
The pigs,
Yeah.
so not the chickens. No, the chickens, I don't think they fit the avocado. And then for the pigs, the orange peels are last on the list. They're the least favorite, but they will eat them. So for the chickens, mostly the kale, the spinach, a lot of the greens, which kind of makes sense because, they'll eat lots of different things like that while they're out in the pasture as far as greens go. But and carrots was another one that they seemed to like, but it was just trial and error for us. It's not something that we were really able to do a lot of research. I don't think there's really that many people doing it, which is a shame because I think a lot more people should be doing it. But there really hasn't been a lot of information for us to pull, for that.
Like most innovative projects.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have a little bit more juice and chicken talk. So hang tight. You're listening to the Heritage Radio Network, and this is the Farm Report.
You are listening to Heaven by Obesity on the heritageradionetwork.org.
Like what you hear so far? Support the network and become a member. Membership helps us bring you the best food radio in the world and gives you access to thousands of dollars in discounts at the sustainably minded businesses that support us. To become a member, visit heritageradionetwork.org today.
The International Culinary Center is a proud sponsor of the heritageradionetwork.org. The ICC, with locations in New York and California, provide cutting-edge education to future chefs, restaurateurs, and wine professionals. We're proud to claim Dan Barber, Bobby Flay, and David Chang among our honored alumni. This is Dorothy Can Hamilton from Chef Story. Check out our ICC website at internationalculinarycenter.com.
All right, we're back. You're tuned into the Heritage Radio Network, and we are talking juice and chickens. So, John, in the kitchen when you guys are making the juices, I mean, tell me, how is that different than when I'm making juice at home? Is it just like a bigger machine, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it's not much different. It's just like everything we do is most cases, it's on a larger scale.
Like Super Mario Brothers Big World.
Exactly.
Awesome. So tell me the pulp. When you're pressing the juices are fresh pressed, cold pressed, right?
Correct.
And And so then the pulp, what happens to it? I mean, you put it in special bags and buckets.
Precisely. We have these large canisters, these large pails that we're able to house them in, and then we'll refrigerate them, and we'll have them ready for when Don comes and does his delivery / pickup. We like to call it the exchange. And he's able to know exactly what is in what. Specifically for the usage, because sort of going back to what we were talking about before, one of the things he realized pretty quickly is things like kaffir lime that has an exotic sort of spiced flavor to it, or jalapeno peppers or chilies aren't some things that they want to feed the poultry for obvious reasons, because that would impart that much more of a flavor. But so they do more or less have their own menu in which we're able to provide.
And I imagine the chickens like marching into the juice bar and being like, So how many times a week, Andrea, are you guys picking up?
Currently, we are picking up twice a week. We just started doing that last week, and which is great because now we can hit both of their, whenever they're juicing, we can take whatever they have. And some weeks, we come with big, 13 big totes full of stuff, and really depends upon their schedule. So now that we're doing it twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, we're able to really collect pretty much most of the pulp from them now, which is great.
Yeah, and so the pulp remains under refrigeration down in your facility, and then it needs to be refrigerated, I'm assuming, until you feed it to the animals, or are there like maybe some benefits to a little bit of fermentation happening?
As far as the pigs are concerned, they, it's been a long history of farmers, getting vegetables that have started to turn and feeding it to their pigs. So the pigs are not so much concerned about that. The chickens are a little bit more picky, and we do keep everything. We have a refrigerator because we are meat purveyors. We have a refrigerated, meat truck, so we're bringing all of that refrigerated back up, and we do keep it in the cooler when we get it up there, just because we want to make sure that everything's as fresh as possible. And it doesn't stay very long. The pigs will gobble it up very quickly. For the pigs that we have, they go through. They can go through up to as many as 4 to 5 of those containers a day. So they eat a lot, and they eat very healthy. So, but yeah, I definitely agree with what you say. A lot of times we open the lids to these bins, and it's like, oh my god, it looks like I want to take a spoon and dip it, and eat it. It smells so amazing. So,
well, it's funny, when I was working, I used to work at a rare breed pig farm upstate, and we would get calls. Oh, hey, I have this tractor trailer load of, green bean tips, or hey, we just burnt all this caramel. Maybe do your pigs want it? And I was kind of like, if you wouldn't eat it, I'm probably not going to, feed, if it wouldn't be kind of palatable to you.
Right.
Although in my experience, the only thing I feel like pigs don't really like is broccoli and cabbage. But there is no... People make that suggestion a lot. They're like, farmers come down to the city to drop stuff off. Why don't they, collect restaurant kind of waste to bring back up for compost? And to me, that always seemed like a little funny, because the trucks that you're carrying all the food you're delivering in, you don't want to load up with compost or garbage. But this is obviously different because it's not post-consumer waste and it's contained. But do you have, or were there any kind of challenges from a regulatory standpoint, or was there any where along that line that brought up any concerns for you guys, or is it not really an issue?
No, for us, because really what they're giving us is just pure vegetable or fruit pulp. There's no meats in it. There's no there's nothing else in it besides the vegetable pulp, which is one of the things that allowed us to be able to do this with them. Is there's never a worry that there's going to be a plastic bag or twisty ties from everything is really clean, and we know what's in it. So it's not a matter of we're picking up compost that's been sitting there and it could have meat scraps in it that are spoiled, and we don't ever really have to worry about that. So it's basically just taking fresh vegetables that have just have the outer skins and the whatever's left over. So there's really no bacteria issue, because it's always been refrigerated, and it moves so quickly from when they're done to when it gets to the animals. It's really never been an issue.
Now, aside from the juices that the pigs and chickens aren't huge fans of, are they able to take all the pulp, or do you have are you looking for other pulp takers out there?
They're able to take all the pulp right now,
yeah.
and as we have a feeling that as much as our pulp will increase, so will their need.
So I mean, obviously the kind of raw juice, green juice mania has really hit the city over the course of the last year and a half. Do you have a sense, are other juice companies, what they're doing with their waste? Are you guys kind of at the forefront of the pulp, reusal stage, or?
I don't know if others are doing it. I'd hope so, or I'd like to believe they are, or if they're not yet and one day will, that's great.
Yeah, cool. Andrea, have you, normally chickens are eating kind of a mix of, a corn or soy kind of grain in addition to whatever they're foraging on for if they're out on pasture. Because this is a newer project for you, are you guys, I'm assuming you guys are kind of tracking the weight gains and like time periods so that you're able to kind of see if this is having any impact. And then also, I think on the other end, from a flavor standpoint, once it comes back to the kitchen, so maybe starting with the kind of growth and like the production model in that end, have you noticed any shifts at all, or do you anticipate?
I think on the chicken end, it's the concentration of what they're eating is still kind of pretty, because we do the pasture raising, they're getting, the bugs in their diet and all of the other things that they would get from the pasture, along with some of the juice pulp. And then they do get, we work with a local mill to custom make a feed that we feel comfortable with feeding them. So they do have the kind of a variety of what they're eating. I think really more on the pigs, we're going to have a better understanding of what's happening and what, that's really where we're hoping that to get that imparted flavor. Especially with the almond meal, because, traditionally in Italy and places where these pigs forage and they're, known for their prosciuttos and things like that, we're really hoping to get that nutty flavor into the pork. And we are just at the point now where we will have some ready to go to be processed. So we're really excited to see what is the fat content going to be, what is the flavor going to be. And we will be sharing some of that with Union Square Events and getting their professional opinion on, what differences are they seeing, from the pigs that they're currently getting versus what, a pig that's been fed the juice pulp is like. So we're just in the beginning stages, but I'm sure there's going to be, as we do this, there's going to be a lot of interesting things that we're going to find out.
Yeah, it's like making charcuterie or anything that just takes time.
Yes.
Chickens, obviously, their lifespan's much shorter than a pig's, and so you're kind of waiting for the feedback. Well, with regards to the chickens, John, have you noticed any changes?
Well, I love the chickens. They're delicious. They come in, they're beautifully presented to us, and they seem to be moist and tender and just beautiful color, and it really we try to take some credit for it, but I will say a lot of the work and the mastery behind it goes to Don and Andrea and what their team is able to do. So we try to give it the same sort of care and respect and properly season it and properly prepare it and serve it the way that we hope that they would be proud of. And recently we spent some time in the kitchen together and showed them some of the ways in which we do prepare it, and in hopes that they'd have a greater understanding of what we do on our end as we're learning and have learned about what they do on their end.
Excellent. And Andrea, do you guys, if folks want to purchase your chickens, are they available for sale anywhere in the city or by mail order, or what's the best way if that's even an option?
Yeah, we always welcome people to purchase, up at the farm. It's hard to do that. We're not in any farmers markets currently, but we do have our chickens in Italy. We have a meat case in Italy that we sell chickens and rabbits and other items from our farm there. So people can go to Italy and
go in
purchase
and ask
there.
for Cascun Farms.
Yes.
Awesome. And John, any plans for kind of expanding this type of project? Do you see any opportunities or low-hanging fruit with the regards to the other kind of food waste that's coming through the kitchen, things that maybe wouldn't be a good fit for this particular model but might have some opportunities for other things?
Well, for right now, we're looking at ways in which we could start separating some of our other items that we compost outside of the juice pulp. And we feel like right now that could be something that we could share with Cascun Farms, and we're looking to grow that, and just the overall awareness with our team as well. Anything that we're learning together, we want to share with our team and be able to tell that story to them and sort of get the message out to as many people as possible.
Cool. And only because, farming without an economic imperative is, gardening. I'm curious, can you talk a little bit about the financial arrangement between you guys? Like, are you paying them for the juice pulp? How does that work from a...
I think right now it was kind of a win-win situation for both of us because, they don't have to pay now to have it removed. And we have some of our feed costs subsidized by using the pulp. And, a lot of the pulp that they're giving us is organic, which if I had to go buy organic feed, it would cost me an arm and a leg. So, I think we were really excited. And for them, they don't have the cost of having that hauled away anymore. So I think it was kind of a wash for us both.
Sure.
And not only that, but I think for really when we're looking at it, our hearts are all in the same place as to where we want to see this go. And, there's lots of opportunity to make a healthier product for people and also to limit the amount of waste that's just getting tossed away, which is really a shame. My hope is that restaurants will get on board with this. It's going to take a lot more, like you said, it's a lot more time consuming to separate out so there are not proteins and there are not twisty ties or plastic into the bins, but the results for the time taken will be so much more worthwhile than having the stuff end up in a landfill somewhere. There's so many farmers that can benefit from having some of their feed costs subsidized, and the end product is so much healthier to the consumer, and also it would help to lower the price of the product to the consumer overall as well. So it really is a win-win-win all the way around. A little bit more work on the restaurant's end and a little bit more work on the farmer's end to have to pick it up and to truck it back. But, usually when you're dropping stuff off, you're leaving with an empty truck anyway, so there's usually space to fill. And I think that with a little hard work on everybody's end, it really is a win situation for everybody.
Yeah, a win for the planet and a win for the palate.
That's
yes.
right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, guys. It was great to have you on.
Thank you, Andrea. It's a
Yes.
pleasure being here.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thanks so much for tuning in. This show, like all 30 of our live weekly programs, are available for free. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Smart Radio, or visit the website, www.heritageradionetwork.org. We are a member-supported organization, so if you believe in what we're doing, please click that donate tab and become a member today. Thanks so much for listening, and stay tuned in.
Thanks for listening to this program on heritageradionetwork.org. You can find all of our archived programs on our website or as podcasts in the iTunes Store by searching Heritage Radio Network. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at @heritage_radio. You can email us questions at any time at info@heritageradionetwork.org. Heritage Radio Network is a non-profit organization. To donate and become a member, visit our website today. Thanks for listening.